Shadowlands expansion will probably be remembered as the most controversial WoW expansion ever. While I like the expansion overall, so far at the least, there are some aspects of the expansion I don't like as well. Maybe after the expansion ends, we will do a pros and cons video to discuss everything about the expansion, lore, gameplay, designs, etc. But today, I would like to discuss how and why the zones of Shadowlands, except the mall, are terrible in my opinion, and why the reason for it may actually be related to the plot of the story. Without further ado, let's begin.
Free!
If you have started playing WoW before Shadowlands was announced, for example with Battle for Azeroth, you may have realized that the zones of the Shadowlands do not fit into the actual theme of that. Why? Because since Vanilla WoW, when a player dies, or when for some reason we would need to enter the realm of death to the other side of the veil, the design of the death damned zones were like this. Now, take a look at the Shadowlands zones, Zereth Mortis included, and tell me, do any of the zones in Shadowlands represent death? No, not a single one of them, except the Maw. I know most of the community hates the Maw due to its design. Like, if you have something to do in the Maw, you better do it quickly and run away. The feeling of the zone was like it, especially during 9.0, and I liked it. It was how the entire Shadowlands should have felt like from the beginning. Dark, gloomy, and depressing, with the overall theme of color palettes would be black and gray. But when you look into the rest of the Shadowlands, it feels like another planet instead of an actual realm of death. You have the most soulless center hub, Oribos, a representation of heaven, Bastion, Fireland, Ardenweald, a zone where it's all about war, Maldraxxus, and the land of vampires, Ravenland. Does it really feel like you are in the realm of death, except the mall? It actually feels like, for me at the least, a zone where its inhabitants, the Eternal Ones in this case, tried to replicate the life of mortals inside the Shadowlands. So, for this reason, Shadowlands was a waste of potential in terms of the zone design. Zereth Mortis and Cortia included. Again, think about the realm of death your character passes through for years. It was the realm of death. That color palette, that music, and that atmosphere was how a realm which centered around death should have felt in the first place. Well, you can say that the actual message behind Shadowlands was not death itself, but the cycle of life and death, and rebirth. So the cycle is all about shiny zones, annoying face, and some vampires? I don't think so. But what if, what if, what if, in terms of lore, there was an actual reasoning behind the terrible zone design of Shadowlands? for how the entire afterlife looks so made up. Well, if you have been following my channel for a while, you should be aware that me and my friend Arnott have two big theories that actually connect into each other. Our first big theory came up last year, March 2021. In short, in our opinion, the first ones were banished into the void by the Eternal Ones and transformed into the beings we call the Void Lords. And the only Eternal One who stood loyal to them, Zoval, was banished into the Maw by the other Eternal Ones, so they could abuse Anima as much as they want and create a system of their own. Our other theory was about, in short, our reality has actually been covered with a veil, and the true Shadowlands, the true realm of death, has been hidden behind this veil after the vanishment of the first ones. And one of our pillar points while developing this theory was the Rift realm in Cortia. The true realm of death, the Rift, was the realm where we were sent to as Azorothians when we died in Azeroth. But for some reason, Shadowlands does not represent the darkness at all, as I have said before, except the Maw. So, I think we can assume that the Shadowlands we visit and now trying to save is actually made up to cover what lies under it. When you look at the Shadowlands map, it almost feels like you can dig and drag parts of it with a spatula and you would see the darkness below. Because all of the Mauve Zone and Leather Courtier, Zoval, and maybe even the first ones, when they were overthrown, were chained down by the chains of domination, which is a death magic technique seemingly either invented or created by abusing anima, none other than by the Primus himself in the first place. He even said that himself that he used his power to imprison Zoval after his defeat, and that act of insurgency orchestrated by the Primus has led to the creation of undead in mortal realms and eventually turned into the machine of death which we, as mob workers, are unknowingly helped to restore. But as Zoval stated,
then they will see death was never meant to be chained.
also lately with the reveal of official 9.2 information regarding the initial story of upcoming zone Zeret Mortis and the fourth boss of the raid, the Sepulchre of the First Ones, named Prototype Pantheon. Now we have learned that the Eternal Ones were actually robots. They were programmed by Lihuvim, an automa left by the first ones. So at this point, I must remind you that, according to our theory, Elun is also a Void Lord or a Void Lady, and she is the mastermind behind all these Eternal Ones uprising and causing them to act against their programming. If you ask the Primus, he would say Elun is only the life counterpart of Death's Winter Queen, and that is all. And about Zoval, he would also claim that it was Zoval that defied the will of the first ones. But we all know there is no way for a deeply integrated and vastly powerful cosmic being like Elun to be at the same level of the Eternal Ones and the Titans. I have explained reasons why lots of times before, but in short, we know she was able to create the Prime Nauru, a being of light, and so far in this story, we have seen that she wielded every single one of the cosmological forces at least for once, except the Fel. She can harness the powers of life, light, arcane, death, and void or shadow, all of them. And are we to believe that Elun is Eonar? Please. So, what if every move of the Primus, the Winter Queen and their siblings were also programmed? Self-determined as a way of, red button. Because if you have been following the lore hints closely, every move of the Eternal Ones, especially Zoval's, is meant to provide a path for the return of their true masters. The first ones, the Void Lords. In the end, the overall zone design for Shadowlands is terrible, and in my opinion, on purpose to emphasize everything about Shadowlands, all except the move, and especially the rift in Cortia and the move, are made up as a veil to cover the realm of death and weren't supposed to exist in the first place. If not, well, then it's just Blizzard not using the already built concept of death in Shadowlands for some unknown reason and simply wasted that potential.
Too long I endured the Maker's flawed design.
So, this was all for this theory. In the upcoming weeks, we will have much more to cover, but don't forget, if you like this video, please like, subscribe and share. I upload a speculation video every week, so you would not miss them if you just hit that subscription button and the bell. Until then, see you all in eternity's end.